Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people?
Yes.
It's part of what they give you. Okay, I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
Katt Williams has never hesitated to speak the truth that the rest of the entertainment world carefully avoids. From a kiss captured on video that followed Birdman and Lil Wayne everywhere, to Tyler the Creator's verses turning his entire catalog into a puzzle, to Suge Knight's long-running personal war against Dr. Dre, none of these whispers were ever truly confirmed until now: Prodigy. We start with a name that carries tremendous weight throughout the entire history of East Coast hip-hop. Prodigy of Mobb Deep, Albert Johnson, who sadly departed this world in 2017, was one half of the duo behind what countless people consider the greatest hardcore rap record ever created. The infamous dropped in 1995, and alongside its follow-up Hell on Earth in 1996, these two projects established Mobb Deep as the definitive voice of the Queensbridge housing projects and an unbreakable foundation of raw street-level storytelling. Tracks like Shook One's PT, I did not simply chart. They became rallying cries for an entire generation of listeners who demanded their hip-hop uncut and completely unpolished. But beneath the music existed a partnership between Prodigy and his collaborator Havoc that, like so many legendary duos before them, eventually collapsed in a very public and genuinely painful manner. The speculation surrounding Prodigy's sexuality did not originate from outside observers or tabloid reporters chasing a dramatic headline. It came directly from Havoc himself. In 2012, at the absolute height of their falling out, Havoc took to social media and posted accusations claiming Prodigy had engaged in homosexual activity during his time behind bars. The post sent
they came
tremors through
directly
the
from
hip-hop
Havoc
world,
himself. In
not simply
2012,
because of the
during the
nature of the
absolute peak of
allegation,
their feud,
but because
Havoc
the
took to
person
social
making it had stood directly beside Prodigy for nearly 2 full decades. His 2011 appearance on Vlad TV, where he openly discussed homosexuality and rap, certainly did not strengthen his position either.
Yeah, it's a lot of gay stuff going on right now, man. The gay community is getting stronger and stronger by the day, it seems like.
Prodigy rejected the accusations without any hesitation or softness. He fired back with diss records, delivered firm public statements, and left absolutely no space for uncertainty about where he stood on the matter. He made it known that what Havoc had done was driven purely by personal bitterness and group tension, not by any version of reality. The general consensus among fans and observers was that this was standard hip-hop conflict behavior, weaponizing sexuality the same way artists across the genre had done since its earliest foundations. On a personal level, Prodigy was married to Kiki Johnson, a woman who remained firmly by his side not only through his imprisonment, but through his lifelong and deeply difficult struggle with sickle cell anemia. The allegations became permanently tangled with the conflict that produced them. And following Prodigy's passing, the public conversation shifted towards celebrating his contributions rather than revisiting old accusations. Speaking of people whose rumor trail traces back to one very clear and identifiable origin point, our next subject follows a strikingly similar path, except the individual doing the talking was not a rap partner, but one of the most commanding voices in American media: Erick Sermon. If you were connected to hip-hop in the late 1980s and throughout the 1990s, the name Erick Sermon needs no explanation. As one half of EPMD alongside Parrish Smith, Sermon helped construct what we now recognize as the golden era of hip-hop, with albums like Strictly Business in 1988, a record that fused funk samples with hard-edged verses in a way nobody had quite experienced before. His relaxed production approach and smooth vocal delivery earned him the nickname the Green-Eyed Bandit, and his reach extended far beyond his own projects. He developed into a highly productive producer for other artists and was a founding member of the Def Squad alongside Redman and Keith Murray, a supergroup that further secured his permanent place in the culture. But for all of his considerable musical contributions, there was a stretch in the 1990s when discussion around Erick Sermon moved entirely away from his productions and his bars and toward something far more intimate and far less welcome. And the individual most consistently credited with steering that conversation was none other than Wendy Williams.
There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle.
At that point in her career, Williams was a rapidly ascending force in New York radio, constructing her reputation on the kind of provocative and boundary-crossing commentary that would eventually deliver her a nationally syndicated television program. She allegedly circulated claims about Sermon's sexuality both on air and through industry connections, and those whispers lingered long after the initial moment had passed. The motivations behind it have been argued over endlessly. Some believe it was connected to personal history between the two, while others point to the shock-driven content that was turning Wendy Williams into a recognizable name at the direct expense of other people's private lives. Sermon has addressed the rumors head-on across multiple public settings. In various interviews, he firmly denied the claims and placed the blame squarely on manufactured controversy and calculated personal agendas. He pushed back clearly against the gossip, stressing that the stories carried no connection to reality whatsoever. On the personal side, Sermon has a daughter named Lexus with the late rapper Hurricane G, and references to his broader family, including sons and grandchildren, have appeared across his social media over the years, presenting a picture of a man whose personal world has always existed well apart from the rumors. His story is a clear illustration of how one individual with a large enough platform and no reluctance to say anything can craft a narrative that follows an artist around for literal decades. And if we are discussing narratives that have pursued someone for years without stopping, our next name has been managing exactly that kind of relentless speculation, except his version was fueled not by a radio personality, but by one of the most dangerous and controversial figures in hip-hop history, Dr. Dre. He requires almost no background introduction. Andre Young co-founded NWA and helped establish gangster rap with Straight Outta Compton in 1988, then followed it with The Chronic in 1992. A project that did not simply popularize the G-Funk sound, but permanently and fundamentally reshaped the entire sonic identity of West Coast hip-hop. He built Aftermath Entertainment and went on to develop and launch the careers of Eminem, 50 Cent, and Kendrick Lamar, three of the most commercially powerful and culturally significant rappers ever to touch a microphone. He co-founded Beats Electronics, later acquired by Apple for $3 billion. He holds 7 Grammy Awards, including Producer of the Year. By virtually every available measurement, he is one of the most consequential and influential figures in the entire history of popular music. The rumors surrounding Dr. Dre's sexuality have been circulating for decades, and they trace back to one overwhelmingly dominant source, Marion Suge Knight.
Back in those days, you couldn't be a gay rapper. So when everybody's saying he was gay and all this type of stuff from everybody.
The former Death Row Records chief executive has, across various interviews, legal proceedings, and public outbursts, repeatedly claimed that Dre engaged in same-sex behavior or relationships. Some of these accusations were loosely connected to stories involving Tupac or to alleged gatherings at Death Row during the label's deeply chaotic peak years. But the essential context that absolutely cannot be set aside here is the full history between Dre and Knight, or more precisely, the complete and permanent collapse of their professional relationship. When Dre departed Death Row to establish Aftermath, it created a divide that has never once been bridged, and Knight has spent the years since using every available stage to attack Dre's reputation and personal character in any manner possible. These claims are broadly understood across the industry and among hip-hop historians as attacks born from business rivalry and personal resentment, rather than anything resembling verified truth. Dre's personal history includes a lengthy marriage to Nicole Young lasting from 1996 until their divorce in 2021, and approximately 8 to 10 children with several different women, including early relationships with Cassandra Joy Green and singer Mitchell. The documented scope of his personal life has consistently served as the most visible counterargument to the allegations Knight has continued pushing. Now, if Dr. Dre's rumors originate from a single vengeful source with a deeply personal grudge, our next subject involves speculation rooted in something far more visual, a moment preserved on camera that the internet simply refused to let go: Birdman. Brian Williams, known across the entire world as Birdman, co-founded Cash Money Records alongside his brother Ronald Slim Williams back in 1991. And through that label helped completely reshape the commercial direction and cultural landscape of Southern hip-hop. As one half of the Big Timers duo, he scored genuine crossover hits including Still Fly and Number 1 Stunna. His solo albums, including Birdman in 2002 and 5 * Stunna in 2007, achieved solid commercial results in their own right. But Birdman's true legacy, and his real contribution to the culture, has always been as a business builder and a mentor. He is the man who constructed the entire operation that elevated Lil Wayne to superstardom, and through Wayne's Young Money imprint, itself a subsidiary of Cash Money, the label would go on to introduce both Drake and Nicki Minaj to the world. By any honest accounting, Birdman is among the wealthiest and most powerful figures in the complete history of hip-hop. But the conversation that has followed Birdman like a persistent shadow for years is not about his business instincts or his financial standing. It is about a kiss. Multiple documented instances of Birdman and Lil Wayne kissing one another on the lips, on stage before thousands of people, and in photographs that traveled widely, became some of the most discussed and debated moments the genre had ever produced. Images from around 2006 and footage from as far back as a 2002 Bet Rap City appearance circulated continuously across forums, blogs, and eventually across social media platforms. For many within the hip-hop community, where conventional masculinity has historically been enforced with fierce consistency, and where any departure from hypermasculine standards has been met with immediate suspicion, these images were nearly impossible to square with the street-hardened persona Birdman had always maintained. Birdman responded to the situation directly. He described himself as a straight gangster and explained the kisses as expressions of deep platonic family-style affection within their circle, a connection between a mentor and someone he regarded as a son, with nothing romantic or sexual behind it. On the personal front, he has 2 children, Brian Jr. and Bria, born in the late 1990s with a woman named Tia. He also maintained an on-and-off relationship with R&B star Toni Braxton, with the pair publicly dating from 2016 and becoming engaged in 2018. The rumors intensified during the bitter cash money business disputes between Birdman and Wayne, but have never been confirmed by anything beyond the original visual moments that ignited them. And since we have devoted this much attention to Birdman and those images, there is absolutely no way to continue without addressing the other person present in every single one of those photographs, the man on the receiving end of those kisses. Lil Wayne, Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., is without any exaggeration one of the most decorated, productive, and influential rappers the genre has ever produced. He joined Cash Money as a teenager, debuted as part of the Hot Boys, and then built a solo career that would generate over 120 million records sold globally, 5 Grammy Awards, and a record-setting number of entries on the Billboard Hot 100. Tha Carter III alone moved over 1 million copies in its very first week, driven by the inescapable Lollipop. He founded Young Money Entertainment, and personally signed both Drake and Nicki Minaj, 2 artists who would go on to define the following decade of mainstream music entirely. His mixtape catalog alone, projects like Dedication 2 and Drought 3, would represent a complete Hall of Fame body of work for almost any other artist alive. The rumors surrounding Lil Wayne's sexuality are almost entirely and exclusively connected to those same photographs and on-stage moments with Birdman. Beyond that visual record, some observers pointed over the years to certain wardrobe decisions including form-fitting or what some described as unconventionally styled pieces like leopard print jeggings. But within the far broader and more significant context of Wayne's documented personal life, the evidence points decisively in a completely different direction. He has 4 children with 4 different women, daughter Regina Carter with ex-wife Antonia Toya Johnson, a relationship that began in their teenage years and included a marriage from 2004 to 2006, and sons with Sarah Vivian, Lauren London, and singer Nivea, to whom he was engaged at one point. His wider romantic history includes well-documented connections to rapper Trina, singer and actress Christina Milian, and numerous others. Birdman himself explained the kisses as family-level affection, the kind of genuine bond that existed within their tightly connected Cash Money circle that had no connection whatsoever to anything romantic. Wayne has never delivered a lengthy formal statement specifically addressing the rumors, and the reason is most likely very simple. His extensive and thoroughly documented relationships with women have always functioned as their own rebuttal without him needing to add a single word. While Lil Wayne's rumors were born from one recurring visual moment, our next artist has navigated speculation rooted in something considerably more layered and complex: his complete artistic identity, from his wardrobe to the vocabulary he uses every single day. Young Thug. Jeffrey Lamar Williams, known universally as Young Thug, emerged from Atlanta's trap scene in the early 2010s and rapidly became one of the most influential and simultaneously polarizing figures in all of contemporary hip-hop. His breakthrough arrived through mixtapes like 1017 Thug under Gucci Mane's label and the critically celebrated Barter 6, which introduced his entirely original approach to melody and vocal performance. His studio album So Much Fun and Punk both debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, and he scored #1 Hot 100 entries as a featured artist on massive tracks including Havana with Camila Cabello, Franchise with Travis Scott, and Way Too Sexy with Drake. His contributions to Childish Gambino's Grammy-winning This Is America further demonstrated just how wide his influence actually reached. Whether you deeply connect with his music or struggle to follow a single bar, his impact on the sound and visual identity of modern rap is genuinely impossible to overstate. And those visual choices are precisely where speculation about his personal life has always begun. Young Thug has appeared publicly in dresses, tutus, and bonnets. He has painted his nails. He has casually and openly referred to male friends and collaborators using terms like bae and lover, language that in almost any other setting carries clear romantic meaning. For a genre that has historically drawn extremely firm and unforgiving lines around what acceptable masculinity looks like, this kind of presentation provided more than enough fuel to keep the rumor machine operating for years. But Young Thug has addressed this topic directly and repeatedly throughout his career. In interviews dating back to 2014 on Bet and in podcast conversations as recently as 2025, he has explained that the language is simply cultural, the natural way people speak within his community, and that his fashion represents personal self-expression that carries absolutely no connection to his sexual orientation.
Ain't nothing going on with no man.
But when I heard him talking about it, I'm like, no, thug.
Man, you know, that's why I said, like, your mind be so far gone, you had to dumb it down.
He has stated plainly that he is straight, that he holds no judgment toward gay people, and that he believes he introduced many of these styles well before other artists like Lil Uzi Vert began adopting them. On the personal side, the numbers communicate clearly. Young Thug has 6 children with 4 different women. His most visible public relationship has been with singer Mariah the Scientist, whom he has been involved with since approximately 2021 with widely covered reports of an on-stage proposal and engagement. Before that, he was linked to Jerica Carly, to whom he was also engaged at one point, and to Lakevia Jackson, the mother of his oldest child. Young Thug's story sits directly at the center of hip-hop's evolving and frequently uncomfortable relationship with masculinity, personal identity, and self-expression. And arguably no one in the genre has pushed that boundary further or with more deliberate purpose than the next artist on our list, A$AP Rocky. Rakim Athalaston Mayers rose to recognition through the A$AP Mob collective out of Harlem and his debut mixtape Live, Love. A$AP in 2011 immediately established him as a genuine creative force. His debut album Long, Live, A$AP reached the top of the Billboard 200 in 2013 behind hits like Kin Problems, follow-up projects at Long Last. A$AP in Testing explored psychedelic textures, diverse production styles, and sounds that pushed well past the traditional boundaries of New York rap. But as recognized as Rocky is for his music, he is equally, perhaps even more widely acknowledged for his fashion. His personal style is high fashion, deliberately androgynous, and intentionally aimed at dismantling gender norms in ways that very few male rappers before him had ever dared to attempt. That fashion-forward approach has predictably generated speculation about his personal life over the years. Rocky has addressed the conversation directly and with the kind of grounded confidence that only someone truly comfortable with themselves can project. He has stated clearly that the rumors cause him no concern whatsoever because his romantic history communicates everything on its own. He has framed his fashion decisions as part of a broader evolution in how urban culture understands and defines masculinity, the principle that personal style carries no gender requirement.
That's not really in the criteria of the small state of mind of the urban community. You're gay.
And he has brushed off the narrow assumptions that persist in certain corners of hip-hop culture as precisely what they are: narrow. His personal life serves as perhaps the most emphatic counterargument of anyone featured on this entire list. Rocky has been in a committed and serious long-term relationship with Rihanna since 2020, and the couple now share 3 children, sons RZA and Riot, born in 2022 and 2023, and a daughter. Rocky has spoken openly and with clear warmth about making his family a priority, and about the genuine joy and effort involved in keeping a relationship strong while raising children in the public eye. Before Rihanna, there were casual reported connections to other women, but nothing that generated the level of sustained attention his current relationship has. Rocky's entire approach to masculinity has always been about expanding what is possible through personal style without altering who he fundamentally is. But our next subject takes that concept considerably further. This artist does not simply challenge conventions through clothing. He embeds deliberate ambiguity directly into the very fabric of his lyrics and invites his audience to sit with the uncertainty. Tyler, the Creator. His career trajectory is without question one of the most compelling and genuinely fascinating paths in modern music history. He rose to public attention through the Odd Future Collective in the late 2000s, producing intentionally abrasive and provocative early work on albums like Goblin and Wolf that actively sought controversy at every available opportunity. But beginning with Flower Boy in 2017, Tyler underwent a creative transformation that earned him Grammy recognition and near-universal critical celebration. Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost both debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, and each claimed the Best Rap Album Grammy in their respective years. His most recent project, Chromacopia in 2024, continued his firmly established reputation as one of the most inventive, eclectic, and boundary-dissolving artists operating in any genre today. Tyler's place on this list is genuinely distinctive because the speculation surrounding his personal life does not emerge from outside accusations, industry rumors, or someone carrying a personal grievance. It comes from Tyler's own words living inside his own music. Lyrics on Flower Boy include direct references to kissing boys. The entirety of Igor is broadly interpreted as a deeply personal exploration of same-sex love and emotional loss. Lines throughout Chromacopia have been examined extensively by both fans and music journalists for coded admissions and recurring queer themes. In interviews, Tyler has described his orientation as existing somewhere in a gray area, noting that he values his privacy deeply even though his public presence is anything. He has neither fully adopted a specific label for his identity nor categorically rejected the readings that listeners consistently draw from his work. His personal life mirrors that same deliberate openness. Past rumored romantic connections to women include model Ryan Destiny around 2021 and unconfirmed links to several others. No confirmed long-term public relationships, marriages, or children have ever been documented. Tyler's consistent and intentional refusal to provide a clean headline-ready answer has perhaps paradoxically made the conversation surrounding him louder and more enduring than a clear statement in either direction ever would have. And his artistry is precisely the kind that flourishes in that productive tension between revealing and withholding. Tyler allows his creative work to speak and leaves everything else open to interpretation. But our next subject is someone who has had to respond not to the implications of his own lyrics, but to direct and pointed allegations made by people who once occupied space within his personal circle. Busta Rhymes, Trevor George Smith Jr., has been an undeniable and commanding presence in hip-hop for well over 3 decades, and his sustained longevity in the industry is a direct testament to both his remarkable talent and his relentless drive. He first arrived on the national stage as a member of Leaders of the New School before launching a career-defining solo run that has now extended across 11 studio albums. Landmark releases like The Coming, which delivered the unforgettable Woo-Ha Got You All in Check, and When Disaster Strikes, an extinction-level event showcased a level of explosive energy, rapid-fire vocal delivery, and sheer commanding presence that very few artists in the history of the genre have ever come close to replicating. His career has stretched from the golden era through the mainstream period and into the current landscape, with recent releases like Extinction Level Event 2 in 2020 and Blockbuster in 2023 making clear he has absolutely no intention of stepping back. The rumors surrounding Busta Rhymes resurfaced in recent years, primarily through allegations made by individuals described as former bodyguards or members of his personal entourage. Someone going by the name Big Homie CC allegedly made claims suggesting Busta had shown romantic interest in men at clubs and in VIP settings, with the stories reportedly connected to events around 2012. Older gossip had also moved through certain circles for years before that, with some people loosely tying the rumors to his bold personal style or various industry associations. None of these claims have ever been independently verified or corroborated by credible sources. Busta has largely either denied or completely dismissed the accusations. He carries a documented history of strong views on hip-hop and personal identity. Most notably, he has been reported to have walked out of interviews when the subject was raised in ways he found disrespectful or entirely beside the point. On the personal side, Busta is the father of 6 children with 4 different women. His long-term early relationship with Joanne would produce 3 sons, Trillian, T.Kai, and Casey, and he has additional children including daughter Mariah with Jill Miskelly. In interviews, he has spoken candidly about the challenges of navigating multiple family situations and has openly expressed that he carries guilt about not always being as consistently present in his children's lives as he truly wanted to be. Busta's response to the rumors has remained steady throughout. He allows his personal life and his towering body of work in hip-hop to communicate everything that needs to be said. And our final entry is someone whose rumor story is grounded not in entourage whispers or wardrobe choices or lyrical interpretation, but in a domestic situation that unfolded across tabloids and social media during one of the most turbulent stretches of his life and his career. Ja Rule. Jeffrey Bruce Atkins, known across the world as Ja Rule, was one of the most commercially dominant and widely recognized names in all of popular music at the turn of the millennium. His debut album Veni Vedi Vexai went platinum in 1999 on the strength of tracks like Holla Holla, and the extraordinary commercial momentum that followed firmly secured his place in the history books. Rule 336 in 2000 and Pain is Love in 2001 were both triple platinum and reached the summit of the Billboard 200, driven by crossover R&B rap hits including Always on Time featuring Ashanti, Mesmerize, and his iconic collaboration with Jennifer Lopez on the I'm Real remix. Between 1999 and 2005, Ja Rule placed 17 songs on the Hot 100 and sold over 30 million records worldwide. He received Grammy nominations, stepped into acting, and was the defining voice of Irv Gotti's Murder, Inc. records throughout its peak years. The rumors surrounding Ja Rule's personal life intensified around 2013 following his release from prison where he had served time on gun and tax evasion charges. During that window, tabloids and social media platforms amplified a series of stories alleging various encounters involving men, sometimes described as connected to a personal trainer, sometimes to a prison acquaintance. These stories were frequently tied to his long-running and legendarily bitter rivalry with 50 Cent or to associations with Sean Diddy Combs. The rumors spread rapidly across blogs and message boards, taking on an independent life in the way that unverified internet stories so consistently do. Ja Rule has repeatedly and emphatically denied every single one of these claims publicly, describing them as outright fabrications from completely unreliable sources. He has shared images with female partners specifically to push back against the narrative. And the single most powerful piece of evidence against the rumors is his marriage. Ja Rule and Aisha Atkins have been together since their teenage years, married since 2001, and they share 3 children, daughter Brittany born in 1995 and sons Jeffrey Jr. and Jordan. That represents a bond spanning well over 25 years. From their earliest days as young people to building and raising a family through the dramatic highs and painful lows of a very public career, Ja Rule has spoken openly and genuinely about the enduring strength of their connection, and that kind of longevity says everything. Thanks for watching FameX. Check out other videos on the screen.